you're a trail maintainer, your job is to keep the trails clean and well marked. But maybe you've noticed giant overgrowth that you can't seem to manage, and you've heard about invasive species. Today, we're going to go for a hike and show you some common invasive species and how to manage them. As a trail maintainer, these are the things you'll want in your pack. Loppers, pruners, sunscreen, bug spray, trowel, plastic bags, guidebook, mini mattock, water bottle, gloves, 2 headlamps, eye protection, first aid kit, trail maps, root brush, invasive cards, compass, phone, battery pack. Know your duty as a trail maintainer is to keep the trail corridors clean, not to remove every invasive species from the forest. Let's hop on trail and find some invasives. Here we are at the trailhead. As you'll soon learn, trailheads have a higher abundance of invasives. Here, we have a plant growing along the trail. I wonder what it is. We can use our Seek app to try to identify this plant. It looks like the Seek app identified this species as Oriental bittersweet. It looks like this bittersweet is climbing up this tree and starting to choke it out. It's even strangling the bark. Now that you've identified your plant, you can upload it directly to iNaturalist from Seek. Just make sure your date, location is filled out, as well as your geoprivacy opened. You can post it directly to iNaturalist. And that'll help land managers inform their stewardship practices. So I've seen this plant along a lot of my trailheads. This plant is especially annoying because it has these spikes that come onto the trail. So it has me wondering whether this is an invasive. So I think I'm going to try to identify it. My phone is at 24%, so I'm going to save its battery and take out my guidebook. This guidebook is the Plant Invaders of the Mid-Atlantic Natural Areas. This is the best resource you'll find for invasive plants. Your phone and Seek is great for quick identification, but guidebooks are great for really getting to know the individual identification features of that plant. And it looks like the Japanese barberry has the same woody stem, these oblong leaves, and those spikes. So I identified this plant as Japanese barberry. So I've been studying my invasive ID cards, and they'll be available online as a PDF for you. I recognize this plant with that silvery backside as autumn olive. Autumn olive can grow into these giant trees, and you can see it's all over. And this is too much for me to maintain or to cut back as a trail maintainer. What I can do is I can log it on iNaturalist and talk to my trail supervisor about what the next steps are for managing this stand. So we're going to be managing some barberry. I found large patches of it closer to the trailhead, but as a trail maintainer, I may not have permissions to manage that much barberry so far off the trail. But there's a small barberry here that I can manage and take out to stop the spread. We're going to have our gloves and our eye protection, of course. And for tools, we're going to be using our mini mattock and our shovel to break up the roots and to dig up the soil so we can pull it out. So this barberry is too big to be pulled out by hand. So we can use our mattock and loosen up those roots. And we'll want to get as many of the roots out as we can. If we leave a fragment of the roots in, there's a chance this can come back next year. So you can use this flat side for digging, and we can use this pointy side for pulling it up by the roots. And now that we have the roots loosened, we can pull it out. And there we are. When we're managing our bittersweet or any vine, we'll want to use our pruners, and we'll want to cut as high as we can and as low as we can. And when we cut, we don't want to yank the rest of that vine down from the tree. It could break the branch off and come down on you, as well as hurt the tree. We also have this bittersweet strangling our native tree. This vine will eventually if not managed, will eventually strangle this tree. And these saplings are important to keep our forest canopy and to provide food for native wildlife. Now he's beautiful and free of invasive vines. Autumn olive is a strongly resprouting species, so cutting it back at the base will only make it grow very rapidly. What we can do is cut it back from the trail so it doesn't overhang, keeping those trail corridors clean. So I can grab my loppers and my PPE and we can cut this plant. Loppers will get around this plant and cut it cleanly. Now that we have our invasive detritus, we'll want to dispose of it properly. You can hang it on a tree, keep those roots off the ground, and make sure that plant doesn't re-root into the soil. As a trail maintainer, you might not be able to get every invasive on the trail, but it's important to keep those roots out to prevent the spread of that invasive. But another disposal method we have is to bag it. So we'll want to double bag any invasive species we find. This will be especially true if this guy was seeding or fruiting. Even if they're immature seeds, they can still fall and mature on the ground and spread our plant. And we'll want to carry this out with us and solarize it and then throw it in the regular trash. This detritus can be cut into small manageable pieces. These branches won't re-root into the ground, so we can lay them on the forest floor without worry of them resprouting. Now you're back at the trailhead after a great day of trail maintaining. Make sure to use your boot brush to get any seeds out of your shoes. As you know, seeds and invasives proliferate trailheads. You want to make sure to get all those out before you go. And always remember to leave no trace. To learn more about the 7 principles of Leave No Trace and more resources on responsible recreating, visit lnt.org. If you'd like to manage invasive species beyond being a trail maintainer, you can join the Trail Conference's Surveyor Program, where we find and locate invasive and native species in your public lands. You may not know everything about invasive species, but now you know some tips and tricks on how to identify and manage them to keep your trail clear. Thanks for watching.